Good afternoon, Madison family, and welcome to the future home of Madison Church Ford Campus. I'm sending some greetings and sharing some vision from the very heartbeat of this building, which is the atrium space, this wide open courtyard. And to really share with you where things are presently at, it all begins really with this question. Is Project 415, is this of the Lord? And we absolutely believe 100% that it is, and here's why. One of the central verses that gets to the heartbeat of who Madison is comes by way of Isaiah 61 that says this, that the Spirit of the Lord has anointed you to preach the good news. In particular, it lists that we are called to rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the broken down walls. So over the last 9 years, we have been praying over every inch, every doorway of this space, asking God, Lord, have your way, not our way, but yours be done. And in 2015, this building was gifted to us by way of the developer, Ed DeVries. And since then, over the course of these last 4 years, God has been unfolding for us a vision for every area, every level of this space. We want you to feel eager to join in on this vision of hope. And we also want you to feel confident in the leadership, the experts, the fundraisers, the lawyers, the volunteers, and the prayer warriors that have all been working together in tandem to set the table for this next stage of the church. Hebrews 11 says this, faith is confidence in what you hope for. It is assurance in what you do not yet see. So as we spent time listening to the community, we asked our neighbors, what do you desire to see happen here in this space? And several consistent themes kept emerging. One was the need for affordable housing. The second was a space for children to grow. And the third need was a space for the community to come and to gather. So if faith is confidence in what we hope for, if it is assurance in what we do not yet see, imagine with me 2 years from now what this building will look like. Imagine with me on the second and third floor, affordable housing for families, individuals, parents, and children. We have been praying for a long time for a partner to lock arms with to develop this entire space. And by God's grace, He more than adequately answered by providing ICCF to do this with us. They are also looking at moving their headquarters within the first floor. And so given all this, what does this sound like? What does it look like? It looks like real hope being realized in this space. So also imagine with me what will be taking place within the first floor. The Refugee Education Center will have a home here. They are an up-and-coming organization that will serve pre-K children. So imagine 72 children throughout the week, Monday through Friday. 60% of these children are children of refugee families that live right within our community. And the other 40% are children right from within the neighborhood as well. And imagine as well the sounds, the languages that you will hear, because these kids, they speak Arabic, Nepali, Urdu, Kirundi, Swahili, English, French. What does that sound like? To me, that sounds like heaven. That sounds like real hope being lived out in this space. And of course, what will be taking place here is that the church will be anchored, a place where we are preaching Christ, worshiping Jesus Christ, discipling folks in Christ. So church family, we are walking by faith these days. In the current place where we are at, we've been before. And let me just take you down memory lane. Back in the 1970s, when Madison was located in a small chapel, they were busting at the seams. And by faith, they moved from a small chapel on the corner of Lafayette and Hall, and they made their way down to the Square campus where they continue to worship today. Walking by faith, not by sight. They had a budget of about 30 grand. They didn't even have enough money to pay their pastors. Back in 2015, here's another example of walking by faith. When we as a church, we were discerning, is this the right time? Is this the right decision to receive this gift and steward this building? So we had a shortened worship service, then we all walked over here as a church, praying, seeking the Lord's will. And now here we are in 2019, praying over this next important step by faith, which has to deal with the financing options of 415 Franklin. So a couple weeks ago, we shortened service, and through the sleet and through the snow, we walked up here and again prayed over this space. It truly feels, Madison family, that we are standing in a generational moment. This building has been used generationally. Back in the day, in the late 1800s, this was the home of Calvin Theological Seminary. This was a place where they raised up pastors. And then for 40 years, it was the place where they raised up high schoolers, as it was the home of Grand Rapids Christian High. And then it was for 40 years the home of Department of Human Services. And now it is in Madison's hands. And here's what I'd like to tell you. One of the things I love about Madison Church is that this place challenges you, pushes you, encourages you to believe in the gospel beyond Sunday morning. That we receive the gospel of Jesus Christ, His forgiveness over our sin. But it is that same gospel that revitalizes, that revives, that restores the city and empowers its neighbors to give God all the glory. When we received this building from Ed DeVries, his son, he said to us, this building is now coming home. It's coming into the right hands. And Ed DeVries, he also said, he shared with us his vision that this space would be used 24/7. We had no idea how that would happen, and yet here we are 4 years later with a vision to see every inch of this place redeemed for God's kingdom. Madison family, you have a unique calling. You are a multi-ethnic, multi-site based church. And while this will be the future home of the Ford campus, this building is yours. This building is Madison. We want you to feel that and to experience that today. And yet at the end of the day, this main question remains, is this project of the Lord? And we absolutely believe that it is. We believe that our God is a way maker, a promise keeper, a miracle worker. He is the light in the darkness. Our God, that is who He is. And so will you pray with us? Will you fast with us as we live into Jeremiah 29 verse 7 that says this, but for you now, seek the peace and the prosperity of the city, for when it prospers, you too will prosper. So will you help us live out the gospel both for this generation and the generations to come? Thank you.